All right, so in example 4, Juan has a hybrid car that averages 40 miles per gallon. So this would actually be a rate because it's a miles per gallon. His car has a 12-gallon tank. So this is one of the units in the miles per gallon. Okay, so how far can he travel on one full tank of gas? So the distance would actually be equal to the miles per gallon times the number of gallons. So it's basically the same, similar as our distance formula when we're talking about rate. If you think about it, our previous distance formula we used was distance equals miles per hour times the time number of hours. So you notice that the measure that you're multiplying against matches the unit in your rate. Okay, so that's why we can do distance equals miles per gallon times gallon. So we would just simply plug in 40 for where we would normally have our R, plug in 12 where we have our gallons or what we normally listed as time, multiply it, and that tells us that Juan can go 480 miles on a full tank of gas. In example 5, when Barbara uses her car for business, she must keep accurate records so that she will reimburse for her car expenses. And this is true because you probably will have jobs where they don't offer the use of a company car and you're going to have to use your car, and basically you have to put in to get reimbursed for your expense of driving the car for gas or wear and tear. So when she started her trip, the odometer read 23,787.8. So that was at the start. When she ended her trip, it read 24,108.6. Barbara's car gets 32 miles per gallon. So that's important. That's our rate. Her tank was full at the beginning of the trip. When she filled the tank, it cost her $40.10. What price did she pay per gallon of gas on this fill up? So first thing we're going to have to do here is we're going to have to figure out how far did she actually travel, because that's going to tell us how much gas she used on that trip, because she started out with a full gas tank. So you would do simply like what we did with our odometer or with our readings from previously. You would just subtract where she started from where she ended, and that would give us 320.8 miles, and this would be what she traveled for work. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to figure out what, how many gallons she actually used. Okay, because we don't know how many gallons she used. We know how far she traveled, and we know how many miles per gallon she gets on her car, but we don't know how much gas she actually used. So we would take our D equals miles per gallon times gallons and figure out, okay, how much gas did she actually use? So what this 320.8 would actually be our distance, and 32 miles per gallon would be our rate. We would plug that in. 320.8 equals 32 times G. Divide both sides by 32. And that would tell us that she used 10.025 gallons on the trip. Now, to calculate the price per gallon, we need how much she used on the trip, how many gallons of gas she used on the trip, and we also need to know how much did she pay to fill her tank back up. So she used 10.25 gallons on the trip, and she paid 40.10 to fill up the tank. Okay, so basically we would want to know and break this down, because when we do cost, it's price per gallon, and there's multiple gallons. So you wouldn't multiply, you would actually divide. You would take the total gas bill and divide it by the number of gallons she used to figure out what the cost per gallon is. So 40.10 divided by 10.025 equals 4. So Barbara paid $4 per gallon. And if you're not sure if it's division or multiplication, what you can say, and you could write this out, you could say that the number of gallons times the cost per gallon equals the total cost. Okay, so the number of gallons she used was 10.025 times the cost, or times the cost per gallon, which in this case we didn't know. We'll make that X, and we'll set it equal to the total cost is $40.10. So you can see when you write it out in that verbal format that you divide both sides by $10 or 10.025.